Okay, so you want to buy a French Bulldog. You have the money. You look at social media and see every celebrity, millionaire, and influencer carrying one around like a luxury watch on a leash. You assume that owning one is the ultimate status symbol, a harmless purchase that will look great in your apartment, but the elite breeders are hiding a massive, highly unprofitable secret from their wealthy clients. The cheapest part of owning this dog is the moment you hand over your credit card, because you are not actually buying a puppy. You are buying a lifetime subscription to a veterinary intensive care unit wrapped in fur. Just like buying a private jet or a megayacht, entering the luxury pet market starts with a heavily tiered price list. A standard French Bulldog in a common color like fawn or brindle will cost you between $3,000 and $5,000. But you are not looking for the budget option. If you want an exotic color, like a blue or a merle, you are moving into the premium tier. Breeders charge a massive premium for these genetic mutations, meaning you will pay between $8,000 and $12,000 just for the privilege of a rare coat. But even that is not the absolute top of the market. Because the current obsession among ultra-wealthy buyers is something called the Isabella Fluffy Frenchie. This is a designer variation carrying a rare recessive long hair gene, engineered purely for aesthetic rarity. To acquire one of these, you will wire anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000 to a breeder. You pay the price of a mid-sized sedan for a single animal, take it home, and assume your financial transaction is complete. You could not be more wrong. The true business model of this breed is not about the purchase price. It is about the structural maintenance of a biological defect. A French Bulldog is an anatomical disaster. They cannot even reproduce naturally. Because of their incredibly narrow hips and heavy, disproportionate chests, males cannot physically mount females. Therefore, the entire supply chain of this breed relies on artificial insemination. Furthermore, when it is time to give birth, the puppies have heads that are simply too large to pass through the mother's narrow birth canal, which means almost every single Frenchie is born via a scheduled cesarean section. You just paid $30,000 for an animal that literally cannot breed or give birth without surgical intervention. And that engineered, flat-faced anatomy brings us to the real bill you will be paying for the rest of its life. That incredibly cute, squished face causes a severe medical condition known as brachycephalic obstructive airway syndrome. To put it simply, your dog is effectively breathing through a cocktail straw 24 hours a day. Dogs regulate their body temperature by panting, but because your designer pet has a severely compressed airway, it cannot cool itself down. If you walk this dog on a moderately warm afternoon, it can easily go into heat stroke, requiring an emergency trip to the oxygen tent. Insurance companies employ actuaries who understand this math perfectly. Because they know the dog is guaranteed to fall apart, many pet insurance providers simply refuse to cover French Bulldogs. Those that do offer coverage will charge astronomical premiums, starting at $150 a month or up to $3,000 a year. But here's the catch. If you read the fine print, the insurance company will often classify airway issues as a pre-existing genetic defect, which means when the dog inevitably starts suffocating, the claim is completely denied. You thought you bought a companion, but you actually became the primary angel investor in your local veterinary surgeon's practice. Eventually, the breathing problems will become so severe that your veterinarian will tell you surgery is the only option to keep the animal alive. They will need to widen the nostrils and remove excess tissue from the throat. That single airway procedure will cost you between $4,000 and $7,000 out of pocket. But breathing is not even your most expensive risk. Because these dogs were bred to have compressed, unnatural spines, they are highly susceptible to intervertebral disc disease. One day, your $30,000 dog jumps off your living room sofa to greet you. It lands slightly wrong, a disc ruptures, and suddenly it is completely paralyzed in its hind legs. You rush to the emergency hospital. An emergency magnetic resonance imaging scan costs $3,000. The spinal surgery itself costs $8,000. The subsequent physical therapy costs another $2,000. In a single afternoon, a short jump off a couch drains $13,000 from your bank account. And if the endless medical terror was not enough, there is a secondary, much darker reality to owning this specific breed. Because these dogs are small, cannot run fast, and retail for 5 figures, they have become highly liquid, untraceable street currency. A stolen smartphone can be tracked and deactivated. A stolen $30,000 dog has no tracking software and can be flipped on the black market or placed into an illegal backyard breeding operation immediately. Across the United States, there is an absolute epidemic of armed robberies, specifically targeting people walking French Bulldogs. This is not a hypothetical risk. In February of 2021, Lady Gaga's dog walker was strolling through a quiet neighborhood in Los Angeles with two of her French Bulldogs. A car suddenly stopped, armed men jumped out, shot the dog walker directly in the chest, and kidnapped the animals. The singer had to offer a $500,000 reward with no questions asked just to secure their safe return. Criminal syndicates now view anyone walking this breed as a walking ATM machine, which means owning this dog does not just drain your bank account through medical emergencies. It literally acts as a beacon, attracting armed criminals to your exact location while you are holding a plastic bag of dog waste. So let us run the final calculation and figure out exactly what your cute luxury purchase actually costs over a span of just a few years. You start with the optimistic scenario. You buy a standard Frenchie for $5,000. You pay $2,000 a year for insurance, adding another $8,000 over 4 years. The dog avoids major spinal issues, but still needs a $4,000 surgery just to breathe properly. Your budget dog ends up costing you $17,000 very quickly. Now look at the realistic scenario for a high-status buyer. You buy an elite, fluffy Frenchie for $20,000. Over the next 4 years, you pay $8,000 in insurance premiums. The insurance denies your genetic claims. You pay $7,000 in cash for the airway surgery. A year later, the dog blows out its spine, requiring a $12,000 emergency surgery and physical therapy. Your total sunk cost now sits at $47,000. And that is assuming you are not robbed at gunpoint, forcing you to pay a massive cash ransom to get your own property back. You end up $50,000 in the hole for an animal that lives its entire life in a state of chronic physical distress, unable to breathe, reproduce, or jump off a piece of furniture without breaking its spine. You did not buy a pet. You funded a highly unprofitable medical startup that will never yield a positive return. For that exact amount of money, you could have just bought a brand new luxury sports car. And ironically, the car would actually know how to take in oxygen.